What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an all right day today. Bitcoin absolutely falling off a cliff. It is a bloody Monday right now for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And if we also have a look at what stocks are doing, you could see that these are some of the ugliest daily candles that we've gotten, with giant gaps in the middle of all of them. So I want to go over today specifically what is happening, why this is happening, because there are some details that have come to light recently that is creating a lot of FUD in the market right now, not to mention the fact that we do have the DXY potentially actually looking to break these previous highs. So as you can tell, I didn't do any funny intro today, and in all transparency, guys, I really wish I could have made a video yesterday, but I messed my knee up big time. I don't know what I did. I may have torn something. I'm in a lot of pain right now, and I am actually going to see a doctor today to get a x-ray and see if I need to get some work done on my knee. So I do apologize, guys. Yesterday was not a good day for me. So not that you care, but that being said, to add insult to injury, we do have extreme fear, and we do have a lot of pretty bad charts right now, pretty bad things potentially happening. Now, I do expect a bounce of some sort, but what we do need to talk about is what is specifically causing this. Now, of course, we know that we have a lot of economic turmoil right now. It is not looking good in the global financial markets. We could be potentially entering a recession or some type of a global economic crisis. And Bitcoin is unfortunately not safe because it is still being treated like a risky asset. But that being said, guys, I do want to start out a little bit different on today's video. Rather than jump directly into the charts, I want to talk about something that is going on right now that is affecting everyone if you are in the crypto space, right? Having a look at Bitcoin, though, I do just want to point out that we are following this fractal that I spoke about. And this is something that I had mentioned super quick. I know I said I wasn't going to start with the charts, but as you guys could see, remember we took this fractal right here, right? We took this, we copied it, and we pasted it right here. And I'm not saying that history has to repeat, but it often does rhyme. And I was warning people that there was a potential chance of Bitcoin coming down to around $22,370. And you could see right here, although it's not exact, right? We're not following it exactly. For example, we took this dip here, but instead we pumped, although we did have a pump here as well a little bit, and now we are falling down. So there is a possibility that we could still be looking for something like this, coming to a triple bottom sometime mid-July, and we could potentially rally even back up to 30,000, right? So I did just want to point that out. This is something we have been talking about on the channel before. We are in a bear market, and I don't suggest that you should short the resistances. Some people are not good at shorting. I don't recommend doing it, but unfortunately in bear markets, that is kind of the strategy. Or just don't trade at all and dollar cost average, right? That's what we've been saying on this channel for 6 years now. So let's talk about what is causing this. And even if you've heard this news already, I need to play a video clip for you because it could get a little crazier than just what we're seeing on the surface here. So we had lending platform Celsius suspending all of their withdrawals for customers. They've also suspended swaps. Now, this decision came hours after the CEO, Alex Mashinsky, seemed to deny any problems at the firm. Now, some people are fearing that they could basically be insolvent, right? That they don't have the funds or anything like that, and then that's why they're freezing it, right? And if we have a look at what's going on with the token right now, it did have this crazy wick to the downside, okay? You can see just right here, in one day, we're down about 41%, but if we actually take the Celsius token from the top, and this isn't even the total top, but just from here, and we come down even to where we're at right now, we're down about 93.84%, right? Now, you can see Nexo says that after what appears to be an insolvency of Celsius Network and mindful of the repercussions for their retail investors in the crypto community, Nexo has extended a formal offer to acquire qualifying assets of Celsius Network after their withdrawal freeze. So why did this happen? Well, there was actually this video that was posted just a few hours ago, and it only has just under 2,000 views at the time of making this video. And this is Dr. Julian Hosp. Now, he has been in the space for quite some time. He actually is the CEO of a platform himself, and although he says that maybe there might be a bit of a conflict of interest, he's not trying to bash Celsius, and he's not trying to come up with any, assumptions or spread any more FUD into the market. But, right around the 6-minute point of this video, he goes in and explains why this could potentially be happening. And I just want to play this clip for you guys right now.
From this point of view today, we don't know what's actually going on inside of Celsius. They've been, other than that blog post, also CEO has been super quiet. Nothing was kind of communicated other than that blog post. So we don't know. There could be several reasons right now. I would say there's probably three possibilities at the moment. Number one, Celsius is indeed completely insolvent, meaning the liabilities that they have are higher than their assets, and they are required to pause any kind of withdrawals. They're going to go into liquidation, and they need to pay out their customers, their creditors, and so on. This would be a worst case for a simple reason, because that would make the entire industry extremely insecure. Plus, and that's the other thing, you don't know which other companies have actually been lending to Celsius, but we don't know the secondary effects of all that. And that's very important to understand, because I hear so many people right now who are like, oh great, at least I didn't use Celsius, I used XYZ. Well, how do you know that this company didn't work with Celsius, right? And now has their funds stuck? It's a lot of secondary consequences. So let's hope this is not happening. There are some signs actually that this is not so much the case. And why I think this is not so much the case is because in the meantime, a lot of blockchain analysis has shown that Celsius has actually been moving a lot of funds to exchanges, and it's assumed that there's some selling going on. Now, this could mean two things. It could either mean that they're trying to front run this entire thing and kind of exit scamming. I don't think that that's what they're doing. I just basically hope that they are doing something legitimate. So I hope they're not trying to trade their way out of this. I would hope that option number 3 comes into play, and that is that they're just experiencing a liquidity squeeze, meaning they need to meet payout demands, and they can't meet those at the moment. And there are various reasons for why that is. It could be, there have been stories that their Lido ETH have been stuck. They don't have the collateral for that. They have had issues with UST. So it could have easily been that they have this liquidity squeeze and they need to get liquidity. And once they have the liquidity again, then they can start their payouts again. That would be the ideal scenario. It would be horrible for Celsius because no one is going to trust them. They're going to completely get bank run. And they should be able to meet that though. And it's probably going to mean like a lot of disturbance. We've seen crypto dropping. Bitcoin hit 25,000, I think. It's been like a slaughter fest. So I hope that this is kind of the scenario. And this would, at the end, kind of keep the price up. If they open withdrawals again, I think this would actually support the prices. However, I'm not sure what this actually means for the entire industry at the moment, because it's just creating a lot of uncertainty. Hear me out on what probably actually happened. There's these stories that Celsius front ran a lot of people, especially the big boys, and I'm not gonna name them because I'm not gonna wanna be in the middle here who's gonna get shot for being the messenger and kind of leaking that news. But the big boys kind of got front run by Celsius on UST. And there's quite some data on that it was actually UST together with Do Kwon who were actually front running that. And that caused a lot of losses on those other big boys. And this is like La Familia, right? This is like the mafia here. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. We have never dealt, like, I know who they are. We have gotten a lot of invites to work with them. There would be really enticing deals, and we never did deals with them. We've always been on the boring side, on the safe side, always put customer interests first. And once they saw that Celsius front run, they were like, okay, that's how you want to play it? Great. Let's do the La Familia game here. We're the mafia. We're going to short Celsius, the token. That's what happened. You look at the data on FTX, the interest rates to short Celsius there is just bonkers. So a lot of demand, obviously, to short Celsius. Afterwards, they started creating liquidity squeezes on Lido ETH, which is the staking ETH, ST ETH, which they knew Celsius had issues with. We knew this from a year ago because a lot of their ETH there actually got locked. And then they created a lot of FUD around Celsius, creating a bank run. And so this is what I actually believe really happened. And so while I do think Celsius had some very questionable ways in how they were generating yield, I actually do think that it's more like a game of mafia here than anything else. So yeah, obviously that last part is a bit of speculation, a lot of data, and I'm leaving out names and I'm leaving out some details on purpose because I don't want to be the one getting into the crossfire of all this. Just take this as you may, with a grain of salt as always. And yeah, fingers crossed that it doesn't get too bad in all of that. So yeah, let's see and hope that the market is not tanking as crazy as it did with UST.
So the truth is we don't know what actually goes on in the background, right? We don't know if there's these big cartels or manipulation. There's always that assumption that there's some bigger players who do have their hands in a lot of the coins, right? But this is also why a lot of people are moving into Bitcoin and out of the speculative assets, right? Because Bitcoin is considered the least risky out of all the assets. But at the same time, if this is true, you saw what happened with the Terra Luna crash, right? And now you're seeing what's happening right now. Now, hopefully they are just having a bit of a squeeze and, they'll take care of their liquidity issue, no problem. That would be the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, obviously, as you said, would be if they are truly having that liquidity crisis because the Bitcoin maxis are, having a bank run on them and trying to pull all the coins off the exchanges, which, as he said, they should be able to do. But think about it, even in our regular bank accounts, if all of us today all went to our banks right now and said, I want to withdraw everything, most banks only have about 10% on hand, right? And a lot of it is paper money. So this is something that we actually deal with in the real world. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with smaller asset classes like crypto, it could pose a major, major threat to something that has such a small market cap as Bitcoin. And this is really where that FUD is being injected. So we don't have any concrete evidence on it right now. I'm not spreading any FUD or rumors. I just wanted to play this video. And that's what he said. So let me know what you think. Do you have any funds on Celsius? Celsius is nothing I've ever promoted on this channel. I've never talked about it. I've got nothing against the guys. I've met Alex Mashinsky in real life multiple times. It's just for me personally, it was never something that I felt like I wanted to talk about on the channel. The same thing with Terra Luna, right? You just kind of get these vibes about things and, you just want to be cautious. So I don't want to take a side on this. We don't have any concrete evidence. We don't actually know the truth, so we can only speculate, right? So that is that situation. Now stick around because we do have a little bit more to talk about why I personally believe that crypto is going to change forever and it's never going to be the same, guys. And especially if you're in the US, you're going to want to pay attention to this. So let's dive in super quick though and have a look at Bitcoin. I'd like to put a little bit of TA in here just to show you guys what I'm looking at. So ultimately right now, Bitcoin is being hung up right here around this little cluster. Now I don't really consider this to be any real significant support resistance. It was really just a little bump in the road that kind of Bitcoin took on the road from 20,000 all the way up to 30,000. And it's currently at that level right here. But realistically, this is not a strong level. We could have a bounce here. It's possible, but I wouldn't really count on this level to provide very much support. The real next level of support, unfortunately now, is around that $20,000 level. Now, if we actually have a look at the 200 weekly moving average, which we've talked about for quite a long time on this channel, I did not anticipate it to happen as fast as it did, but I think the fact that we are seeing, stocks having this ridiculous sell-off, plus we're having the Celsius FUD along with the UST Luna FUD that we had a while ago, it could essentially be accelerating the trend, accelerating the fear, right? But ultimately, you could see that Bitcoin has always been supported by this 200 weekly. However, it does not mean that we cannot wick below it. For example, back here, it was sitting at around 193. We went down to 162. Next time, 227, we went down to 157. But keep in mind, within the next week, we do tend to rebound and it does become the bottom ultimately. Now, will history repeat? I don't know, and I can't pretend to know. Number one, I'm not a professional, and number two, I have never seen, no one actually has ever seen how Bitcoin would react in a true bear market, right? We had the 2008 financial crisis. Bitcoin was birthed in 2009. So Bitcoin has never experienced a bear market. It has never experienced a recession in traditional markets, right? It's had its own bear markets, but it's never actually experienced a true economic crisis, right? So anyway, getting back to my point, you could see support here, right here, COVID crash. It was sitting at around 5,500. We came down to 3,800. And we, you know, like I said, next week we were back up there again. So just because, you know, this is sitting at around 22,300, it doesn't mean that we couldn't potentially wick down below it, you know, freak everyone out, you know, cause more liquidations, whatever, and then eventually come back up to these levels and continue to the upside, right? That is a possibility, but historically it has held as support. However, also historically speaking, we haven't seen as many weekly red candles. We've also never seen a rounded double top. You know, lots of things we haven't seen, right, this time around. So it clearly is a different market. It clearly is a different structure. And people saying, you know, oh, it's just following the 4-year structure. I'm sorry, guys. I still stand on the other side of the argument that the 4-year cycle does not matter the way that it used to. Maybe in, you know, another 2 years, we'll have our answer and you guys can look back on this video and see, K-Dub, I told you, you were wrong. But right now, I still stand that it's not significant. But you could see right here, when we were talking about these Fibonacci levels, I explained that the 1.618 level was the most important level. We showed you how every single time it provided support and bounce in the bull markets. Well, right now, we are actually falling through it. And don't forget, this BLX chart is actually a day off. So Bitcoin is actually, let me draw a line here really quick, around this level. This yellow dotted line is actually where the price is. Keep in mind, the BLX is a day behind. It's one of the most comprehensive charts on Bitcoin, and it doesn't update until the next day. I don't use this for trading. I use this chart for analysis. But as you can see right here, you know, there is absolutely nothing between the 1 and the 1.618. There's nothing here, guys. The next level shows that Bitcoin should test around the previous all-time high, which was around 20,000, you know, or actually more specifically, it was $19,600 or something like that. So there is that possibility that we retest the previous all-time high. And then that does become the new support. And that would provide the wick to the downside. We would then also, you know, lost my train of thought here. Sorry, guys, I'm on some painkiller meds, and you can tell I'm not as hyper today as usual. But I'm trying to get the facts out to you. We could come down to the 200 weekly moving average. We could fall lower, get that wick, and then continue over. Now, you know, going back over here super quick, you know, you could see that we did actually close the CME futures gap here. Remember, we didn't close it before. And historically speaking, we basically close every gap. I mean, it might be a bit of a meme, but we do it. So there was always that possibility that Bitcoin was going to come down to that $24,600 level. However, you know, we just didn't anticipate that it was going to be so aggressively and so quickly. Now, I don't want to upset anyone, but if you really want to look down here, there's also another CME futures gap that I truthfully never thought I'd have to ever talk about on this channel, but now we do have to talk about it. And this gap is down here at around $18,200 or $18,140. You could see this gap right here, right? So could that be the ultimate capitulation? Could that be what we're looking for? I mean, you know, getting back to this fractal, you know, maybe, you know, the next time we come up, because we are going to have a bounce. We're not just going to go straight down. That's not how markets work. You know, maybe this actually does come a little lower down to these areas. But as I said, if we do zoom out, that still provides us with that M-shaped pattern, right? Fake out to the downside lower, and then we continue higher. And remember, I showed you guys that in the S&P. If I actually switch the S&P to the weekly, right, and we go back here, I think I had it marked out. Yeah, right here, guys. So you can kind of look at the similarities between Bitcoin, right, where we put in this M-shaped pattern, double top, but then look, right here, we lose it. So the S&P was around 770, but it actually fell down to 671, right? So there was that extra fake out where people thought it was going to really get bad. And then we had that V-shaped recovery, right? And in all fairness, you know, if we take this from top to bottom, that was a 56% decrease in the S&P. That was a bear market for the S&P. And, you know, that took place from, when did it start? 1996 all the way until 2009. So that was definitely a rough time to be trading the markets. But you could see the similarities in this pattern right here compared to essentially, you know, what we're seeing in Bitcoin right here, right? You have that M-shaped pattern. You have the fake out to the downside. Remember, this chart is a day behind, and then you potentially continue to the upside. So it is kind of still playing out like our worst case scenario. And that's why it was our worst case scenario, so that you could be prepared in the event that something like that would happen, right? Now, one thing I do want to point out is the Bitfinex longs were starting to level out a little bit. These guys have not closed. So we're not seeing any type of a squeeze yet. We're not seeing this. They're still stacking on their longs. They are still betting that the price of Bitcoin is going to go higher, and they're still betting that the price that Bitcoin is at right now is a potential generational buy opportunity for Bitcoin. And if you want to know what I did this morning, I actually bought more Bitcoin, guys. I am deploying as much of my capital, trying not to overdo it. You don't want to overextend it. It's always good to have a little bit of cash on the side, but you could see they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they are in fact longing it. So that is just something I wanted to mention. And the other thing that we need to talk about is, if you really want to talk about a potential bounce for Bitcoin, this is the lowest levels we have ever seen on the RSI in Bitcoin's history. Yes, my friends, even lower. Look at this, guys, even lower than what we saw during the 2018 bear market. This is history in the making. This is something we have never seen before. This is something that we're going to talk to our grandkids about and say, yes, I lived through the Great Recession of 2022 and the insane Bitcoin crash, right? And honestly, I've been through about 6 of these already. 2 of them being over 80%. So this is nothing really new if you've been in the crypto space for a while. And I just wanted to play a video super quick from Anthony Scaramucci. He's been a Bitcoin proponent for a while, and Andrew over on Squawk Box actually asked him, like, hey, have a look at what's going on right now. Is this really as bad as everyone thinks it is? We should talk about it. And this is what he had to say.
And I want to get your thoughts on a morning like this. It kind of feels like we are, I don't know if we're doing a full round trip, but we're getting close.
Oh, well, a full round trip on crypto or the overall market? I mean, I think both are in question right now, because as you and I both know, interest rates going up, 1 to 2% rise in interest rates easily take 10 to 15% out of the market, Andrew. So everything's being impacted. But watching you guys this morning, it makes me think of March of 2000. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember that, where internet stocks were cratering. Many of the Web 1 stories went to zero. And then, of course, there were a few gems, things like Amazon, that went on to do very well. And I am encouraged by the fact that Bitcoin is above 50% of the overall crypto market cap right now, which is, again, another sign that there's a flight to quality there. Now, of course, Celsius is putting pressure on it, the same way that the Luna Terra situation put pressure on it about 6 weeks ago. So we're in a bloodbath. This is my 8th bear market. I expect to survive this one as well. But I think it's just caution people to stay unlevered, but keep to your long-term investment discipline. Everybody has a long-term perspective until they have short-term losses, Andrew.
Right.
And then they start to set their hair on fire and run around in a circle. I would recommend people just stay disciplined. And like Joe, don't look at your 401k statement.
But Anthony, does staying disciplined mean buying on a day like today? Are you out there? I mean, you have been bullish on Bitcoin. If you're a true stacker, is this the time to stack?
Listen, I certainly think so. And with incremental cash that comes into our funds, we have bought more Bitcoin and Ethereum. We have a private stake in FTX. FTX is doing very well. It's gaining market share. And it is a profitable company. So, yes, I mean, the truth be told, people will look back on this debacle and say, I wish I had fresh cash to buy into that.
So these guys are still betting big on Bitcoin. They're dollar cost averaging. They see the potential. Even some of the most renowned bears like Gareth Soloway, if you've been following him recently, calling for insanely potentially low levels. I mean, I've heard people call for $7,000 Bitcoin, $3,000 Bitcoin, still believes that Bitcoin is one of the best bets and will be going to over $500,000 a coin. It just depends on your time horizon. And I personally am in that camp. Hard to believe at these levels that Bitcoin could go to $1 million in our lifetime. Sounds like a crazy thing to say. I still believe it, guys. Bitcoin is in its infancy, and it's slowly creeping its way into the legacy financial system. But here's the problem. Just in, Binance, one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, temporarily halts Bitcoin withdrawals. The CEO says they are fixing the issue. Also, if we come over here, a class action lawsuit is underway against Binance on behalf of U.S. users who bought or sold Luna or Terra USD on the exchange. Now, according to a company spokesperson, Binance US is registered by FinCEN and adheres to all applicable regulations. These assertions are without merit, and we will defend ourselves vigorously. But what does this ultimately mean for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Well, guys, we saw the bill that, Senator Lummis, basically proposed. And there are going to be regulations, guys. Regulations are coming for cryptocurrencies. It's inevitable, especially in the US. The fun days of the wild, wild west and speculating on all these unregistered securities, they may be coming to an end. And while that does seem like it is raining on the party a bit, what it's actually going to do is help to clean up the space, help to make things more transparent, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe some of the guys in the top 20. And, same thing like happened in the dot-com bubble, right? How many companies had to go under, had to go bankrupt, had to completely just dissolve in order for things like Amazon and these other companies to grow, right? And this is why on my channel, I do talk about altcoins sometimes, occasionally. If we can get a good opportunity, here and there, sure, let's speculate with 1% to 2% of our portfolio maybe. But ultimately, I've always said on this channel that we need to focus on the key here, right? Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the boat that rises, or actually Bitcoin is technically the tide that all the boats rise with, right? And you see, no matter how much bullish news comes out about an altcoin, no matter how life-changing, an altcoin project claims that they are, no matter what, if Bitcoin is crashing, most of them you don't see go up, except for Terra Luna, which is why there's a lot of conspiracy around that. But that being said, guys, we are entering into very different times. This is a huge shift in the markets right now. It will be all right. It's only on paper right now. If maybe you're over leveraged or you have bought more than you can afford to lose. And in that case, that's up to your own money management and risk management responsibility. I can't do that for you. I can only tell you what I'm doing. And I do hold primarily Bitcoin in all of my assets. I hold substantially more Bitcoin than I do cash, which means that my portfolio has been hit tremendously. In fact, if I told you how much my portfolio has been hit, you probably wouldn't believe me, but it's been a lot. It's been a whole lot, but I'm not scared because, nothing scares me more than losing my Bitcoin, losing my dollar amount. I don't care because I know where Bitcoin is going, right? But, making trades or going into altcoins and then really losing like the true value compared to Bitcoin, that's what bothers me the most. So I'm basically just going to end it there, guys. I wanted to give you a little bit of a round overview of what's going on in the markets today, let you guys know what I'm seeing. Once again, I do apologize for not making a video tomorrow. I'm sure you guys can tell I'm a little bit more chill today. My knee I don't know if I tore a meniscus. I have no idea. I'm going to see a doctor this afternoon. But I love you guys. Like I said, it's only a loss on paper. Dollar cost averaging has never been a bad strategy. And anytime anyone has ever bought at the all-time high, 3.5 years minimum has always been a 300% increase. And we're not even close to the top right now. We're actually, how far down are we right now? I don't even know. Haven't even measured it, to be totally honest with you guys. Let's see. Do you guys know? Somebody out there knows. So from top to bottom, Bitcoin is down 66%. So yeah, just another day in crypto world, right? That being said, guys, I love you. You're awesome. You are the reason that I make these videos. I don't make these videos for myself. I make them for you to share information. And, also just to tell you, hey, times do seem a little bit rough right now, but I can tell you every time in the past that I thought it was over, I thought I totally screwed up with Bitcoin. I thought it was going to die. I actually started believing the news outlets. New all-time high, right? Only a matter of time. Be patient. You guys rock. Stay crypto. My name is Crypto Zombie. This is Crypto Zombie. My name's K-Dub. Been a rough couple days, my friends. I love you. You're awesome. Stay crypto. And of course, peace out.